Good evening, everyone. Although we don't feel it, we are being streamed currently right now. Welcome to our second virtual trilingual town hall. Although we don't feel it, we are being streamed currently right now. Thanks for muting that. At the bottom of your screen, you're going to want to pick your language. There's a little globe and you're going to want to pick Spanish, English, or Arabic. And we're just waiting a few more minutes to kick off. Again, good evening, everyone. Just a reminder that you need to pick your language and the little globe is at the bottom. It's either English, Spanish, or Arabic. And you do need to pick a language even if you're multilingual. I see Chair Howerton, I see Mayor Schul, I see Rod Jenkins, and I think we're just waiting on Vice Chair Mike Lee. And I'll kick us off. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off for the evening. Welcome, everyone. This is our second virtual trilingual town hall. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been many months in the making. We are now capable of streaming this event in 3 different languages. So right now we are streaming in Spanish, Arabic, and English to the Durham community so that they can watch at home. I'm just going to let people one last time just know that they need to choose their language at the bottom of their screen. And you need to choose either the little globe. You do have to choose one, even if you are multilingual. And with that, I'm going to welcome Mayor Schul, Board of County Commissioners Brenda Howerton, and I think Board of Education Vice Chair Mike Lee to give some opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Caballero, my wonderful colleague. It's great to be with everybody today. I see so many fantastic leaders on this call from our immigrant and refugee communities. I see staff, and it's just fantastic to be here with everybody, and I'm so grateful. I want to welcome everyone here tonight to this town hall discussion for our immigrant and refugee families. My family immigrated to the United States in 1896. They were refugees, a Jewish family fleeing religious persecution in the Russian Empire, coming to America to seek a better life and to be able to worship freely and openly and without fear. As refugees, they had no money, they did not speak English, and they struggled to make their way in this country. I know that's a story that's familiar to many of you. But they found friends here, Americans who welcomed them and helped them and gave them work. And that is what we must do for all of our immigrant and refugee families. I am so happy that President Biden will be welcoming so many more refugees into the United States. That's such an important change. And that there's a real movement towards immigration reform that we haven't even been able to think about for the last 4 years. We must make sure that the path to citizenship for our undocumented immigrants is a clear path, one that they can achieve without barriers to become citizens of this country. We must end the wait in Mexico policy for our asylum seekers. We must make sure that every broken migrant family is reunited, and we can never accept the separation of families again. I want everyone in Durham who is a migrant or a refugee to know this. In Durham, we welcome you. Whatever country you come from, whatever language you speak, whether you are Christian or Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or whatever religion you are, or no religion at all, we welcome you. Whatever your race, whether you have documents or you don't have documents. In Durham, we love you and we want you here. We will support you and we will fight for you and we will help you create a good life for yourself and for your family here in Durham. In Durham, haremos todo que lo posible para mantener a su familia segura. Son bienvenidos en nuestras escuelas, en nuestros lugares de trabajo, en todos los lugares públicos. Queremos que usted y su familia para vivir y prosperar aquí en condiciones de seguridad. En Durham, le acogemos con los brazos abiertos y con corazones abiertos. In Durham, whoever you are, wherever you're from, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts.
Thank you, Mayor Schul. Chair Howerton.
Thank you so much. It is absolutely my pleasure to be here this evening with you. And Steve's got one on me. But, you know, when we talk about history, all of you know that my history was not one in which I came here voluntarily. My forefathers were forced to be here. And when we welcome immigrants today, everyone is welcome in Durham. We're welcome, and I'm so happy that we have a president that welcomes you as well. So I am just pleased to be here tonight along with all of you, and that we begin to have conversations that people understand that they're welcome, that they hear you say the words, that they don't have to assume it, that we say that they're welcome and that we show that you're welcomed. So I say this is too long a conversation. It has been needing to happen for a long time. And I just want to say thank you for engaging in this conversation, that we are all sisters and brothers and whatever faith that you believe in. And I'm just like excited to be with you, and along with my colleagues. I see several of my colleagues here tonight. So thank you for making sure that we're here.
Thank you so much. Vice Chair Lee.
Hello, everyone. And on behalf of our chair, Bettina Umstead, I'm so excited about being here along with my fellow board members, Fred Raven, Natalie Byer, and Giovanni Lewis from the Durham Public Schools Board of Education. If you just take a moment to step back and look at all of the people that are on this call, all the elected officials, all of the community leaders, all of the citizens, that just goes to show you how important the immigrant community is here in Durham. I think in Durham, in North Carolina, this is Durham is a shining star for the immigrant community, and we show that all the time in the way the policies we try to advocate for. And in Durham Public Schools, the welcoming that we have for all of our students, no matter where you're from, no matter where you're starting, no matter what level you come into our schools, we're here for you. We're here to support you, and we accept you wherever you're from. That is what we are here in Durham Public Schools. We care about every child. We care about the education and the growth of every child in Durham, no matter who you are. And so it is our honor. I know I can speak for the board members who are here. It is absolutely our honor to be here tonight with you, to speak to you, to answer questions, to help in any way we can to support Durham and to support Durham Public Schools as we move forward. I look forward to this conversation, and thank you again for allowing us to be here.
Thanks so much. I'm going to just do a brief run through of what we will be doing this evening. I'm very happy that Rod Jenkins, our Director of Public Health, will be able to do a little mini presentation on where we are with COVID vaccines. And throughout the program, while we have folks who have helped what was co-design, so we did this one a little differently. There were focus groups with Durham Tech residents, with health ambassadors from El Centro, and they have prepared questions that they'll ask you all. And we also will be allowing folks who are watching to ask questions as well. Before we start our question and answer portion, we will hear from Mr. Jenkins.
Good evening. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this evening. I too see so many faces that I have been fortunate to work with, from my commissioners, my chair, my vice chair, to the mayor, to members of the school board. I think I've heard the chair say so many times, I did not have a honeymoon when I first came on board. It was literally get in the chair and get to work. So it's a privilege for me to see so many beautiful faces, see so many beautiful languages. And this is what public health is all about. Public health knows no color. We know no religion. We know no political affiliation. The only thing we want to do is make you well, keep you healthy, and fulfill our mantra in public health, which is promote health, prevent disease, and protect the public's health. It is something I've taken very seriously. It is an oath that I've taken for Durham County government, and it's a pleasure to serve. I greet you, ladies and gentlemen, with the distinct honor to lead 200 plus men and women who are dedicated to fighting COVID-19 and also dedicated to protecting your health. I also greet you on behalf of the Board of Health for Durham County. It's a fantastic board who sincerely cares about the community, and they work hard to make sure that I do all that I can and have the resources that I have in order to do my job very well. Special thank you to Councilman Javiera for inviting me. And although I won't have too much time, because I could go on for days talking about COVID-19, but it's a pleasure for me to say to you and to present to you just a snippet of what we have going on. And I would just end my opening comments by just saying thank you so much for all that you do. I tend to ask you all to become public health champions. And by that, I mean, we can't do it all by ourselves. One thing I can say about the Durham community is that you all are like no other community that I've been a part of. I mean, the way we come together, the way communities stick with one another, look out for one another, and when trouble comes, you definitely band together and ensure that everyone is protected. So again, I thank you for allowing me to be here. Didn't know didn't know whether or not you wanted me to go into my presentation, but I'll just start off by saying thank you again for the invitation to be able to serve. I'll take that as it's my time to go. I can go to the next slide, please. This was as of yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. I would not be your health director if I did not remind you that COVID-19 is still here. We do have new variants that are wreaking havoc and getting stronger. That's the reason why I'm here, which is to strongly encourage you to consider getting the vaccine. When you hear about these variants, just know that the variant is nothing more than a mutation of a virus. And viruses, they mutate all the time. But the one thing that you need to understand is that viruses and variants need a host. They need some place to live so they can wreak havoc. And that's why we are pushing for communities of color to consider taking the vaccine. As of yesterday, this deadly respiratory pathogen has represented 908 active cases. Nevertheless, 20,675 individuals have beat COVID. They've had it, they've gone through COVID care, isolation and quarantine, and they are now COVID-free. Conversely, we have had a number of individuals, 206, to be quite honest, 207, we did have a death today, have succumbed to COVID-19, which again expels the fact that it's still a clear and present danger. COVID-19 is real, and our hearts, minds, and meditations are with those people who have lost loved ones due to COVID-19. It's real, ladies and gentlemen. When you look around the kitchen table and you see empty chairs because someone has died to COVID, that's tough because that person is not coming back. So again, our thoughts and prayers are with those who've lost loved ones to COVID-19. Total since the pandemic began, 21,794 total cases. Next slide, please. Here you have yours truly. When I don't wear a bow tie and a white Oxford shirt, I roll up my sleeve and I got vaccinated. I got vaccinated on December the 23rd, and I was proud to take this picture, and I was proud to be able to get vaccinated as a man of color, to really show my community that you can do this, to really lead from the front. And most importantly, I just wanted to really dispel those rumors. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm still here. Nothing has changed. I believe in the science. I did listen and carefully made that personal decision to get the vaccine. So I wanted to talk a little bit about vaccine management. Next slide, please. We are fortunate to have both Moderna and Pfizer vaccines available at 414 East Main Street. We've had Moderna since about December 21st. We were able to get ultra cold storage freezer through a partnership with NC Central's CORD program, which allowed us to get Pfizer about 3 weeks later. We do have an online booking app, and so far there have been well over 10,000 people who have scheduled appointments since last evening. We do have a homepage for the booking app. I will say we have paused it due to the anemic allocation of vaccine that we've received from the state so far. And no bad reflection on the state of North Carolina. It is a global slowdown in vaccine allocation, but rest assured, we know that things will get better and vaccines will flow in short order. We do have a call center that's active, 919-560-HELP, 560-HELP, very easy. Calls are both being handled both in English and Spanish, but we do have the capabilities of having calls being taken in all languages. We are working to identify advanced solutions that will allow for easier appointment scheduling through quality improvement efforts. We're constantly trying to improve in order to make sure that our service to our community is second to none. Next slide, please. Again, this is sort of a snapshot of our vaccine appointments. We are currently in group 1 and group 2. We will boldly go to group 3 effective on Thursday. I know it goes live on tomorrow, but we did need another day due to the vaccine slowdown due to the inclement weather. But we are prepared and we're ready to vaccinate our educators effective on Thursday. And we do have a solid plan in place. We do have the booking app. Again, you can see that it is in Spanish, both English and Spanish. And we're delighted to present that to our community. Next slide, please. Again, Durham did receive some additional resources through state emergency management. This also included vaccinators and ancillary staff with data processing and administrative support. So we have the manpower to take care of our community. We did receive an additional 5 personnel from the state. That's through a partnership with CCNC. And again, since the vaccine has been made available in our county, we at Durham Public Health has vaccinated well over 10,000 residents and individuals. We have a lot of people from other counties. This is a vaccine without borders. And if you can't get an appointment, you can go just about anywhere in North Carolina, I should say. You can go anywhere in North Carolina to get your vaccine. They are trying to hamper down on other people from other states coming in to rob us of our vaccine. But again, nevertheless, we believe in our partnerships and we have transferred approximately 9,000 doses to our community partners. And I'm proud to say, ladies and gentlemen, that we have 23 official individuals who are eligible vaccine providers in Durham County, to include 11 Walgreens sites that are vaccinating 100 people per week. That's only going to increase as vaccine supplies become more robust. But we're thankful for our partnership with Duke Regional at our Southern High School site. Of course, we maintain a great relationship with Lincoln Community Health Center and many, many others. Next slide, please. I wanted to really give you a small snapshot of our newly unveiled COVID-19 vaccine data dashboard. This is embedded within our data hub. When you go here, you will find a wealth of information. One of the things that we prided ourselves on at Durham Public Health is being very open, honest, and transparent, and doing everything through an equity lens. That's one of the central tenets of Durham Public Health. We want to make sure that we are providing the adequate information to all demographics in Durham in an effort to keep yourselves safe and to know everything there is to know about COVID-19. If you go to this data dashboard for COVID-19, you're going to find information about the different genders, how much vaccine has been transferred, how much vaccine has been administered in Durham County. One of the things that we want to do is make sure that we represent Durham County well. We don't want our information to be convoluted. So again, this is a vaccine without borders. However, the information that we present is specific to Durham County. As indicated, we have Moderna and Pfizer. Moderna was specifically distributed to local health departments because of the ease of handling. So we have administered 91% of our doses. Pfizer has really been originally for healthcare systems, large hospitals, and since receiving Pfizer, we've administered about 70% of that. Next slide, please. As far as our future allocations, one of the things I do as public health director is get under the skin of the state, because I really want what's best for Durham County. So I think it not robbery to really petition the state for more and more vaccine as much as we can get. So again, we do acknowledge that increased vaccine demand occurred at the same time that the federal government and manufacturers finally came clean that their current inventory and production capacity was not sufficient as far as providing first dose supplies. Nevertheless, we understand and we know that it's going to get fixed. We do have a president. Major accolades were given by our leaders to the president, current president of the United States. And we know unequivocally that turning the corner in this COVID-19 pandemic is his #1 priority for his administration. And we laud him for that. Current supply is not sufficient. However, we have definitely moved mountains to create all that we have, and we will continue to do what we can to get more vaccine. The future vaccine allocations, like many other counties in Durham, is uncertain. I will say that we have been able to receive a guaranteed amount of doses for 3-week iterations. We're currently inside the second 3-week iteration where we'll receive 1,170 guaranteed doses. And we definitely petition for equity doses. We petition for event doses. We just do all that we can to get more vaccine in Durham County. And we will continue to work with our partners to ensure vaccines are available to our residents. Next slide, please. That concludes just a little snippet of vaccine information. Of course, there's tons and tons of information I can throw your way, but just know that while we wait on vaccines to increase, we're not sitting on our hands at Durham County Department of Public Health. Again, one of the main things we do is health education and providing forums like this. And man, I can't tell you how many different events I have attended, just really promoting the vaccine and doing all we can to help our residents to make an informed decision. But I certainly will stick around in case there are questions. And Madam Host, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you sharing that information out, because it was shared out in a trilingual format, which I think is a big benefit for our community. I'm going to open it up. One announcement I did want to make that I neglected to make earlier, so apologies, is that this is also being between a joint effort between World Relief and Church World Service. There is a watch party happening in Swahili. We do not have the technological capabilities of streaming in 4 languages, but so that was how we handled that. Swahili is another high use language in Durham County. So it's English, Spanish, Arabic, and Swahili. I want to thank those organizations for having that watch party for our community members. Also, really quickly, and we'll be putting these up on social media, we have been able to get handbills, vaccine handbills, that we will be sharing out on social media in English, Spanish, and Arabic, including some folks who are on this call who we have their vaccine, their photos of them getting vaccinated. And so we'll be sharing those out. And the 4th language will also be Swahili. So we're excited to put those out on social media and eventually start printing them so organizations can hand them out at food drives or other vaccine drives for family members. With that, I'm going to open it up. I know some of our residents who are on this call who helped design this town hall had questions. So I'm going to give them an opportunity to ask questions, and then we will be opening it up to the public and we will be sharing how to do that. I see Humberto has a question.
Sí, mi pregunta es para el señor Jenkins, el Departamento de Salud. ¿En qué está trabajando el Departamento de Salud para tener información en español? Por experiencia propia, mi primer dosis de la vacuna no tenían información en español. En mi segunda toma de la vacuna tampoco tenían información en español. Incluso yo hablé con el señor Jenkins personalmente para ver qué estaba pasando, porque creo que no debe de pasar esto. Creo que es muy importante también que tengamos información en español. No sé si esté trabajando en eso.
I hope it's okay for me to call you Humberto. I thank you for that question. I thank you for bringing it to our attention. I have personally made it my point to put the information out in Spanish myself. I had my staff to present, We normally have stacks of paper that are in English. I made sure that there were stacks of paper in Spanish. I regret that you came for two times and we didn't have it out there. But of course, we did show you that we did have it in Spanish. And again, you know, I just say charge it to the level of activity that we've had over the past couple of weeks. But nevertheless, as I did show you personally, we do have the documentation in Spanish, and we do have technological capabilities to present information in many different languages through our language line and our language apparatus.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Humberto. Does anyone else, let me make my screen big again. Does anyone else have a question? Señora Trojas, Sandy?
Hola, soy Sandra. Bueno, mi pregunta es, ¿qué tanto personal tienen en español para atender a las personas, más que nada las de la tercera edad, que pues a veces cuando uno sale y les ofrece ayuda registrándolos porque ellos no tienen ni idea cómo hacerlo, a dónde acudir? Pues ese es el trabajo que estamos haciendo nosotros en el Centro Hispano, ayudando a la comunidad. Pero ellos dicen, sí la quiero, pero yo no hablo nada inglés, yo tengo miedo a presentarme porque no sé ni qué voy a contestar. Entonces, yo aún no me la he puesto porque acabo de pasar por el COVID y estoy esperando que pasen unos 3 meses. Pero ¿qué tanto personal bilingüe tienen ustedes para atender a la comunidad?
Thank you for that question, Sandy. We have a full staff of foreign language interpreters. We have about 5. We have Spanish-speaking staff embedded throughout every division at Durham Public Health. As mentioned previously, we do have technology to assist us with Spanish-speaking individuals should they come in and need that service. But to address your direct question as it relates to Spanish-speaking seniors and COVID-19, we do realize that we can't do it ourselves. We're so fortunate to have a great partnership with the Latin 19 coalition that advocates passionately for healthcare for the Latino population. It is my desire, Sandy and others, for us to have special COVID events that are heavily influenced and heavily staffed by all Latin individuals. And we're currently working on that right now with Viviana Martinez Bianchi. And we're trying to utilize La Semilla. Given the fact that vaccine is in short supply, we're still going to do everything we can to reach out to our Latinx community. We've already had an event to where we vaccinated 50 community health workers about a couple of weeks ago. And then, of course, through partnerships with Duke Regional, there was an event at the Latino Credit Union that was very successful. So again, we want to make sure that we meet folks where they are. We want to make sure that we get our seniors vaccinated, particularly our Latinx seniors. And we're going to continue to do all that we can. We're going to continue to do all we can to make sure that this population is served.
Thank you. When you're done asking your question, if you could put your hand down, otherwise I might call on you again. Nayo.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Jenkins, you mentioned something right now that really tickles my mind. You said that you like to go under the skin of those who can get things done. And I think this is exactly what we are trying to do over here. And I really appreciate that. Actually, my name is Nayo. I work for Church World Service as a community organizer. And COVID-19, the vaccine, it's very important in the refugee community. And you can see that, like the app you showed, it's hard for the refugee community to get on all these apps and set up appointment. That is the first part of my worries. And the second one is also, how can we get, let me backtrack a little bit. During the height of the COVID, we worked with the Durham city, the mayor, and everyone. Ms. Javiera is here to take the COVID test to the population. And that had worked a lot. And you can see that even though the number is not really good, but we have worked hard to tame that down. So the vaccine is here, and now we've been asking our population to go to that site or sign up before getting that vaccination. You can see that there's some kind of hard done by, and also pushing on some kind of privileges for those who are computer savvy. So how can you promise the population we serve that they're gonna have access to the vaccine, or the vaccine is gonna come to them, and how this is gonna be working? Thank you.
Nayo, thank you so much for your question. And I will say it was delightful to kind of go down memory lane. We have a very nice problem right now, in that we're fixated and we're really focused on the vaccine. But every so often I have to remind myself that it was just 2 months ago that we didn't have any vaccine at all, and we were really focusing on continued testing, and testing should be continued to be focused on. But the memory that you provided was the fact that we had to find ways to get COVID-19 testing to the masses. And that's exactly what's going to happen again when it comes to COVID vaccinations. At present, it's hard to do with such limited supply. But I do know that hopefully this weekend, when there's emergency use authorization for the Johnson & Johnson product, which is a one-shot application, that may present some additional resources. We do know that the Moderna vaccine is a little bit more mobile, and we can handle it a little bit better. So again, once the vaccine gets in strong demand and strong supply, we should be able to take it more out into the community. As it stands right now, we've been able to do very little, primarily because we've had such large phases. Group 1 with healthcare providers was overwhelming, and then we kind of slammed into Group 2, which was the seniors, and that's a huge population. And now we're staring at Group 3, which is your essential workers, which is a huge group of people. Nevertheless, I am most confident that through our partnerships, again, we have 23 eligible vaccine providers that are able to be as mobile as we want them to be it local pharmacists, be it doctors' offices. They're going to offer more opportunities. But as your health director, I truly do believe that it's not going to be until we are able to get more physician practices that are able to vaccinate that we're going to be able to see a significant difference in the demographics. Additionally, again, we want to work with churches. We want to work with ministerial alliances in order to meet folks at their places of worship, because that's where you're really going to get a huge dent. And let's not kid ourselves. Throughout history, the church has been the cornerstone of the community, be it politics, be it healthcare, be it everywhere. So we want to really get those things. And we certainly have an exhaustive list of local ministers who have said my place of worship can be a vaccination site. And we certainly appreciate that, Nayo. It's just the fact that we don't have enough vaccine to go around right now. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Humberto had a very quick follow-up question, and then Jacquelina, I see your hand raised.
Ok, nada más quiero darle las gracias al señor Yankee por el programa que hubo, por el evento que hubo en la cooperativa latina de las vacunas para los latinos. Yo estuve ahí colaborando con la doctora Viviana, también pertenezco a Latin 19 y fue un éxito. Estuvo algo muy bonito, muy emocionante. Mucha gente se vacunó ese día, como 150 parece que fueron en total.
Alberto, as much as I like to take credit for that, I take no credit. That was truly Katie Galbraith and Duke Regional who had the excess vaccine and able to make it happen. But I heard that there was a DJ. I heard it was the spirit was very high and people were very comfortable. And I hope to replicate that same experience at Las Amelia once everything comes together. But we hope to get that kicked off next week sometime. But that's in the plans. And again, working with Viviana and Pablo and everybody else from the Latin 19, I'm sure there's going to be a successful event.
Thank you all. Jacquelina? Did you want to ask a question? Your hand is raised.
Sí, mi pregunta es para el alcalde. Mi pregunta es qué están haciendo para apoyar a las madres que están trabajando, que están trabajando, pero también al mismo tiempo o no pueden trabajar porque como tenemos a los niños estudiando en casa, ¿qué se está haciendo para apoyar a esas familias?
Mr. Jenkins, you're luckily not on the hook for that one. I think that question probably goes to a couple other folks who are elected leaders on this call.
But I will say, if I can, Madam Hostess, Durham Public Health recognizes that there is a need for non-traditional hours for people who work different schedules. We are proud to present to provide extended hours on Thursdays where we're open until 7 p.m. And we're also proud to provide Saturdays to where people can come and get vaccinated as well. We were very intentional in our schedule making because again, we want people to be able to work. And I do know that in some situations, if you don't work, you don't get paid. But nevertheless, we certainly want people to have options to be able to get vaccinated. I've seen the clinic come, babies come and parents come and they trade off to where they get vaccinated and, one person got the baby and, vice versa. So we have a very caring and nurturing environment to where we want you to be able to come and feel comfortable getting your vaccine. I just had to kind of address that, Madam Hostess.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If other folks feel free, if anyone else would also like to take that question from Jacquelina.
Okay, so I'll start, and any of my other Durham Public Schools board members can chime in there. Ms. Urbano Serrano, we feel, as a parent, I fully understand how you're feeling, and that is the challenge that we've on the school board have had to deal with or work with since March 15th of last year, almost a year now. The challenge of keeping the kids, staff, and families safe during the rise of COVID. And even now, what we did was we had our learning centers to allow parents who had to go in we had scholarships who had to work. You can send your kids to learning centers. But recently our board voted to start the process of opening schools back up. And part of the reason was for the challenges our students were having and our parents, as well as those faculty and staff who were very interested in getting back as well. We're facing some challenges with safety. You know, we're working to make sure that all of the buildings are safe, as safe as we could get them. We have the PPE available. We're going to be following all the protocols provided by the CDC. And as well as we negotiated, as Mr. Jenkins alluded to earlier, we've been able to move the teachers up in the vaccination line so that we can have our teachers vaccinated and safe as they go into the buildings themselves. Chairwoman Bettina Umstead and myself, we toured some schools today just to see the protections, the signage, the thermometers, all of those types of things that are now provided in the schools to keep our children safe so that we can open up the schools in a safe manner. And I was very impressed by what I saw. There are a lot of things still in the works, you know, with filtering for the systems. We have air filtration or purification systems in some of our classrooms, you know, the EC classrooms. So we're preparing to provide a little bit more support here for our students to come into the building for school and in a learning environment, and which will allow some of our parents to go back into go back to work a little easier. Now, I will say to anyone listening, if you have the abilities to keep your child at home, we're encouraging those to keep your children at home if you can. We're opening up the schools if you can't, and we fully understand that. But if you can keep your children at home to help with social distancing in the classrooms and in the buildings, we're asking that you do keep your children at home if you can. You're very welcome to come back to school starting March 15th. You know, if you can't, and we're opening up the doors, and we're going to be welcoming the smiling faces back into our buildings, mask on, of course. We'll have to assume that they're smiling, but that's what we're doing. We're trying to support as much as we can, support your family, my family, and the other families in Durham.
Thank you. Do any other Board of Education members want to say anything else?
Javiera, I would just say that
Yo tengo dos preguntas. Una de mi pregunta es, ¿qué está haciendo la ciudad o el departamento de escuelas para garantizar que los estudiantes reciban apoyo de manera equitativa para las familias sin recursos con los desafíos planteados por el aprendizaje desde casa? Otra de mi pregunta es, ¿qué está haciendo la ciudad para apoyar a los recién graduados que no pueden encontrar oportunidades de empleo y no califican para ningún tipo de beneficio?
I can take that, or I know several of my colleagues. There was a couple of questions there, some for city, some for schools. Maybe some county officials may want to chime in as well around support for jobs.
Councilwoman, it's JB Buxton from Durham Tech. I'd love to chime in on this if I could.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, and thank you for providing the forum. And I want to note that my colleague Connie Gomez is with us as well. And if I get any tough questions, that's who they get directed to. I want to talk for a moment about helping students who have graduated move into jobs, and note that we do have at Durham Tech, which is your community college here in Durham and Orange counties, we do have some back to work courses that are short courses, about 6 to 8 weeks, in areas of the economy that are still growing and have job availability. They are about $190 to $300, about $250 on average, but we have significant scholarship resources available to make them even more affordable or free, depending on your situation. And so these are in areas like healthcare, logistics, or light manufacturing, life sciences, information technology, construction. So if there is an area of interest where a young person is having difficulty and needs a little bit more education, we have some short courses, but we also have some affordable degree programs that we'd obviously want to welcome folks into. So it's a tough time for a lot of people and a tough time to break into the industry. And we've got some opportunities for people who need a little bit more education to get into certain jobs, a way to do that in a very affordable way.
Thank you for that answer. Does anyone else want to, there was, it was, I think, a 3-part question that Amanda asked. So if anyone else would like to provide any other responses. And then I do want to give an opportunity to Board of Ed member Natalie, who was trying to answer the previous question.
I'll just jump in. I know Commissioner Jacobs also had her hand up, so I don't want to steal too much thunder, but I do want to echo some of the sentiments of President Buxton. I know that he is working very hard. One of the issues that we have, sometimes is that we do have empty seats in some of those classrooms. The opportunity and the scholarship money is there. So if you know somebody who is, willing to take up one of those places in one of those classrooms, I see him smiling because we've talked about this. By all means, allow us to be a connector. I can't take credit for all of the great jobs that have been brought in. A lot of work was done before we got here. Commissioner Lum, myself, Commissioner Carter, Commissioner Jacobs, as well as Chair Howerton, have been working very hard to bring in some really great opportunities. We scrutinize each job, each company that comes in, because we want to make sure that we're offering jobs at multiple educational levels. And at the end of the day, it is RTP, so there are certain companies that we seek out. So I not seek out, there are certain companies that are attracted here, but we're open to bringing in large employers as well as small ones, and also working to help to work towards making sure that people are getting reskilled. Today alone, I know one of the things that I wanted to point out that Commissioner Jacobs also brought up was, how do we get to a position where we can support people when they actually are trying to go back to school? So what I would ask of you all is, if you know that that need is represented in your community, many of you all see me out beating the pavement, let's try to figure out a way that we can actually get you down there and think about some of the things that you want to do. Right now, I think when we got our presentation today with Dr. Walden, statewide, we're looking at about 11.1% of unemployment. This time last year, which is about March, we were looking at about 6.3. So I'm going to use pre-COVID numbers. Before COVID, open in Durham, we had about 21,800 jobs open between Trayburn, South Point, RDU, and downtown. And we had 6,000 people who were actively looking for employment. So that's not our seniors or some of our young people, but those are folks who are actually going down to the unemployment office and seeking unemployment. So we had a problem that a lot of other counties didn't have. We had 3 times as many jobs as we had people. So what we realize is that there's a skills gap, and we're dedicated to making sure that we get people reskilled, and also dedicated to making sure that we can get people to the various campuses, because we do have multiple RDU campuses. I will end there because I want others to have the opportunity to talk, but I just want you all to know that it is in our marrow to get folks back to work, and please reach out to us. If there's somebody just in the chat right now, you say, you know what, Commissioner Burns, I'm looking for a job, email me tonight so we can find you a job, or at least start to work on that path, because that's something that we all care about. And I'll end there.
And I just wanted to quickly add to the great comments that Commissioner Burns shared and President Buxton, that to the woman who asked the question about a child who just graduated and was looking for work, Durham County funds something called the Durham Tech College Promise Program, and we provide funding for what should really cover a full 2 years of tuition at Durham Tech. So if your child has just graduated from Durham Public Schools, it's for every single student who has graduated from Durham Public Schools. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about it, but please contact folks. Maybe JV can let you know who to get in touch with to find out about that funding. And also, I want to mention, if you are a parent who is not comfortable sending your child back to school and you do need to work, Durham County, along with the city and Durham Public Schools, we are funding virtual learning centers at Student U, at the Downtown Y, also Kate's Corner. And now we're expanding that to 3 different other locations, one that's going to be at Durham Tech, because we understand that some families need the support. They're going to work. And so we are supporting that as a resource as well. Thank you.
Javiera, I'd also like to mention our workforce development program that we have specifically for English language learners. And we've developed this through our continuing education program. And it's a low cost program of only $185. It's 8 modules with 5 units each, and it develops soft skills and alongside developing the English language skills too. And many employers have also funded their employees to take our workforce development English language program. And so just to continue what President Buxton said about the workforce initiative, this one is also an initiative designed just for our English language learners.
And really, if I could just chime in, it doesn't matter what level of English language proficiency you have or your children have, you can come to Durham Tech and we will assess your English language skills, figure out where you are and get you to where you want to be. And this is for parents and recently arrived immigrants, as well as for high school students that may not have the academic English language proficiency skills needed to enter curriculum programs. And Durham Tech's Center for the Global Learner is in charge of that. So please call me, Connie Gomez-Joins, send us anybody, or you come. Those of you who are listening and you need English language skills, come to us. We have free ESL classes and many more advanced English language classes that can really help you advance your academic skills, your career skills, etc.
Thank you all. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad that we got that information out into the community. Veronica, I think your hand was up.
Sí, buenas tardes. Personalmente estoy muy agradecida porque las escuelas se van a abrir. La verdad es de que muchos niños no la están pasando muy bien con este cierre de escuelas, entonces agradezco mucho que se está empezando con la idea de abrir las escuelas. Y por lo consiguiente sabemos que nuestros niños están llenos de energía y algunos niños un poquito atrasados en el aprendizaje. Queremos saber si se está haciendo algo para aumentar el aprendizaje y los recursos, por ejemplo, después de la escuela para los niños que necesitan regularización. Y también queremos saber si va a haber los campamentos de verano, y si va a haber espacios suficientes. Personalmente he tenido problemas en encontrar espacios. Por ejemplo, los niños tienen la ilusión de aprender a nadar y muchas veces esos espacios son muy, muy pequeños. Me gustaría saber si se puede tener algún plan para ayudar a que los niños pues se salgan un poco y disfruten este verano. Gracias.
Thank you. Natalie, I see your hand up to answer that.
Thank you so much, Javier, and thank you for such a great question. Let me just say that we hear you. We know this year has been very, very, very hard on children. It's also been very, very hard on women especially, and we hear the struggle that you guys are living, you women are living every day. We are trying to make a safe reopening plan that will get our teachers vaccinated so that they can come into this space safely and lead. Our teachers are amazing, and we've always been planning to have English as a second language supports very quickly for students because we know that students are struggling. We plan and we have almost $45 million in federal CARES money that will be coming to the school district so that we can plan summer camps for children that will be fun, that will be engaging, that will be incredible opportunities for children to continue their learning. So as we look towards the summer and fall, please know that we're planning for your children to be in person, and we're planning for that to be safe. And I also wanted to make sure you're all aware of our Multilingual Resource Center. There are amazing staff there. You can reach them at 919-560-2510. And they are there to help you. If your child is struggling, don't hesitate to call them. They can help you connect with the teacher, with the principal, with the counselor, with the social worker, so we can get help immediately. Don't wait. Please call. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to see, I know Humberto, you've had a chance to ask a couple of questions, and Veronica, I'm going to see if there's anyone else that I may be missing. And then I think we're going to let folks, we're going to try this out and see if we can get some comments from the public. So I don't see any hands. If I, oh, Eliezer, go ahead.
Yeah. First, buenas noches, good afternoon. Sorry, I only know 2 languages. If not, I would say good afternoon, everyone. So my question goes a little bit, as I'm sitting here and as we've been hearing from community members across, not just Durham, but the county, we keep hearing from parents kind of along the lines of what Veronica just asked, but more specific to grade students who are right now are behind, right? So folks who had issues with technology, folks who had issues with being able to really properly learn the material. We're hearing a lot of parents. Oh, and by we, I mean El Centro Hispano. So I'm Elisa Posada. I'm the acting president and CEO of El Centro. Sorry about that. We keep hearing parents who are saying, you know, my kid is behind right now. What are the resources that are going to be available so that my kid doesn't lose a year? Or we also know that some folks, their students haven't been able to get onto online courses all that easily. And we might be looking at matters of truancy. So I kind of wanted, I think that's the right term, right? When students don't go to school. So I wanted to see what kind of plans or support is there for students who have fallen behind due to some of these, you know, issues with COVID and learning from home.
So I'll try to answer a few of these questions. I think one of the first things that we should point out is even before the vote to reopen schools took place, there was already consideration and there was a charge from the board to ask the district to see how we could safely, to the best of our ability, be able to reopen in-person instruction for students who receive EC, Exceptional Children's Services, and English, ELL services. So that was always something that we recognize just by looking at the grading proficiency of how well some of our students were doing within schools. Now, with the ability or the option to open up schools to in-person learning for students, I think one of the biggest things that's going to go on is going to be the assessments of where those actual needs exist, and being able to hopefully be able to leverage the summer school program to make sure that we're addressing the most immediate needs first. And because I know that obviously we don't know what the summer is going to look like. We can't openly commit of whether every single student that's currently in DPS right now that we'll be able to provide in-person learning for all 30,000+ students. But the goal is, again, to be able to look at where the most immediate need is and to reallocate the resources for those priority students, and just kind of make sure that we can take a bird's eye view at everything.
Thank you. Did anyone else want to chime in? I'm going to open it up to.
Javanya Lewis has her.
Thank you. If I miss your hand, it's because I just don't see you on my screen, so I apologize.
No problem. Thank you. And that's a really good question. Thank you so much for that question about our students and how we're going to work towards accelerated learning. As Mr. Raven said, there has been work towards getting special needs met, services for those with special needs and those English language learners as well, a program that will continue even in the current plan that we're in. You had mentioned a point about truancy and what's happening there. We have dedicated social workers and staff that's been boots on the ground in the community, knocking on doors and trying to reclaim, re-energize our students. We know that when students come back, there will have been issues of trauma, all the things they've dealt with, mental health and those supports. So we're looking at increasing our counselor to student ratio, making sure those supports are in place for students. And we want to accelerate the learning that's happened. As Mr. Raven said, where those gaps have been, teachers will be hands-on, able to move children along a lot better. There will be a lot of grace in this time. And Ms. Byers, she gave some resources, a phone number to the Multilingual Resource Center. There are resources in place to help get our kids back on track. And I've heard conversations about some mentoring and tutoring that's going to be happening as well. So we'll continue to make sure that information is out and connect the community. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that response. We're going to try, we have one question coming in from YouTube, and now what we're going to try and do for the folks who are watching, meaning they're just streaming, we're going to put a slide up. You can, so the way that the tech infrastructure works is the Spanish and the Arabic is just, it's a one, there's no way somebody can comment, but they can go to the YouTube channel that is also streaming in English. And we're going to put the slide up here. So if you have a question and you are watching, you can go to this link and there's a comment box because it's the city's YouTube channel, and you can ask your question in Spanish, Arabic, or English, and we will do our very best to answer it this evening. Again, you need to open up a second window. So maybe you're watching in Arabic, you need to open up a second window and go to this link at the bottom of this slide. And you'll see the YouTube stream, you'll see a comment box, and it's okay to put your question in the language you feel comfortable in, as long as it's English, Spanish, or Arabic. We unfortunately cannot provide language support beyond those. I know the Swahili room, the watch party, they will be putting any questions that they have, I think, in English. So we are able to take those folks' questions as well. I saw earlier in the chat that they we're thanking everyone for the information that they're also getting. So technically this is not just a trilingual, I guess it's a 4-language town hall. I saw that somebody had a question from the YouTube chat earlier that was talking about summer camps. I know that some of our school board members have answered to the best of their ability some of the programming that DPS, Durham Public Schools, is hoping to do. I know that the city of Durham, I have not gotten anything as far as from Parks and Rec yet, but last summer we were able to have some programming. I think this summer we will be able to expand that. I think everyone's waiting to see what happens with the vaccine rollout this spring. If any of my other colleagues want to jump in on that, I would appreciate it. But that was one question that we had coming in from the YouTube channel. Again, if you're watching at home in whatever language, whether it's Spanish or Arabic or English, you can go to the link that's on the slide and you can ask your question in the YouTube comment box on the English stream. We're taking questions from the public. Feel free to ask that question in Spanish, English, or Arabic. We're getting a response to the question that somebody had asked from YouTube asking about summer camp opportunities for children. World Relief is also eager and will be hopefully offering youth camps for refugee and immigrant youth this summer. We have a question coming in from Facebook. I'm going to read it in English so that our interpreters can interpret it into both Spanish and Arabic. What is the city doing to support small business owners, especially those of undocumented residents?
Would you like me to comment on that, Javier?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm monitoring the chat and then something else, so I would appreciate that.
Okay. And I'll start, and you, and I think that Councilmember Reese is also, and maybe Councilmember Freeman are still with us and maybe want to add, but I'll start. The city has, along with Duke University, we've had about $3.5 million total to provide to small businesses in either loans or grants. And I would say that somewhere close to about, not all of that money, but the great majority of that money is already in the hands of those businesses mostly in the form of grants and some in the form of loans. And there has been, our emphasis has been on historically marginalized businesses. So that means our Black and Brown communities, our African-American community, and our Latinx community. And so we've, most of those loans and most of those grants have gone to those businesses. And that's been really at the top of our list. I don't have the number, and I would love to have that number that I can, we can provide that in an email, Carmen, if the person wants to let us know who they are. We can provide the exact number of businesses, Latinx businesses that have been supported. But that has been our target with those funds is Latinx and African-American businesses. And my colleagues may want to add some things. I guess I will add one other thing, which is, yeah, Commissioner Jacobs mentioned that Durham County has also contributed. That's right, Durham County, and I should have said that, Durham County, the city, and Duke University together have provided these funds. We have had significant outreach to our Latinx businesses through our Back on the Bull campaign. So you see the Back on the Bull pledge there on the screen. Our Back on the Bull campaign, part of that has been health ambassadors that the city and the county have funded. And those health ambassadors have been going around to, they've been going to businesses all around our city. They have now gone to many hundreds of businesses. We have 10 health ambassadors, 5 of them are Spanish speaking, and they have gone to many businesses to help them with their health protocols to try to keep their business safe, their workers safe, and their customers safe. And so that's also been a big effort that we've made for our small businesses. I should add one final thing, and I see all this is not nearly enough. I mean, I think that's the thing we know. We heard earlier the question, I believe, from Veronica about people who don't have work. We have so many people unemployed. Commissioner Burns mentioned that earlier. We have unemployment in Durham at the level we haven't seen in a long, long time. It's hard to get work. We have many businesses that have gone out of business, and we are just in a time of tremendous struggle for our city. And we know that that has been disproportionately affecting our Black and Brown communities. And so that means for you all on this broadcast who are Latinx, your community has been hit harder than our community at large. And this has been just a very, very, very difficult time. And there's no way to sugarcoat that. It has been, there's been a lot of suffering in Durham in this last year, and the suffering has been disproportionate. We've got a long way to go in order to change that. And our recovery is going to be, it's not going to be instant. We're all going to be doing a lot of work to make this recovery happen, but it's going to be hard.
Thank you, Steve. There's some folks who are also just chiming in the chat that I just want to highlight. World Relief is providing information about some of the supports that they are providing to immigrant youth along with DPS, and that they're hoping that that work can continue to expand. And just another mention that the county has also helped with the small business fund. And I think that's it. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in.
Councilwoman Caballero, just one more on Durham Tech. Our small business center is available to assist folks. So I've put a link in the chat to that small business. There's translations available on the website, different languages, but individuals should know, and this is for anybody who's looking to start or keep their small business going, that we offer counseling sessions, their services, programs, I think a lot of important supports that the Small Business Center offers. And it would be a good resource for people to look at and see at little to no cost, and mostly no cost.
Thank you for sharing that information. I'm not seeing anyone else asking any questions, so I'm going to see if any of our participants have any further questions.
So yeah.
Go ahead. I may miss you because I don't have everyone on my screen.
Hi, I don't have a specific question, but I do want to highlight some of the great nonprofits we have in Durham who have been doing a lot of the work along with a lot of the leaders here, right? So of course, there's World Relief, there's of course El Centro, La Semilla. There's been a lot of folks working in this in collaboration with the city, the town. So as folks have, I would invite people who have any questions, comments, or they need some help with, whether it's helping tutoring for their kids, or need any support in some of the direct services that exist. I would say go to a trusted nonprofit in the area, because I do want to highlight a lot of the great work that nonprofits have been doing at this time.
I'd like to also add how, just looking at the faces here and listening to these voices, I see so many people have been doing this work for so long, so much before there was ever a pandemic. I mean, I see Sashi, Connie, and Eleazar, and Carmen, Nayo, and to have the Adam, I could go on and on. So many amazing people on this call who have been there and have been doing this work, and to have this kind of leadership in place in Durham. Did I say Katushka already? These are people who have just dedicated their lives to this work. And then to have the pandemic hit and to be this added burden to all the organizations that Eleazar mentioned, to have this tremendous burden, but also to have this leadership in place has been such a gift. And our nonprofits and our school professionals, have really risen to the occasion. And I feel a tremendous sense of gratitude about that.
Hi, can I say something?
Yes, I want to take the questions in the chat. Go ahead, Katusha.
Okay. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It is really amazing that we can bring together such powerful message to the whole community in the two levels, health, education, that the main things for our communities. I have three questions, and I will do very short. One is about Durham Tech. Thank you so much about that, but I would like to see how you can reach directly to the students. Many of the students, they don't know about these programs, and not only for the immigrants, in general. Can you send messages directly to the students so they know and they can enroll in Durham Tech? Second, the health. Can we do some work together, Mr. Jenkins, with the community, with the faith communities? You just say something very important. That's the first place for many people. They trust it a lot. And that's the place that we can help tackle it, the faster that, not faster, but faster we do, the better will be. And the third, for education, schools. It's wonderful that we're reopening. And right now we have a lot of students that there are special needs that they're not being reaching, that they're not receiving what they need to do now. What are the plans for that? Thank you. My 3 cents.
I can answer number one. We work directly with the school systems in our service area, and the Center for the Global Learner, all of us go do presentations, and we talk about the educational opportunities at the community college and beyond for parents, first generation, second generation, third generation immigrants, what all the opportunities are. And we also work with the Mexican consulate, and we are out in the community talking about not just Durham Tech, but the community college in general. If you're not from Durham, Raleigh, you may go to a different community college, but the community college is a great place to start your education and finish it even. So I think others in this call can attest to the fact that Durham Tech is present in a lot of different community organizations talking about what we can do for immigrants and refugees, and that we're there for them. We're there to help them. And the Center for the Global Learner at Durham Tech, that's what we do. So anytime you have somebody that wants an education, no matter where they're at, immigrant, refugees, send them our way. Center for the Global Learner, 919-536-7264. Our assistant speaks Spanish and she will triage. You can call me directly, but that's what we're there for. JB?
Katushka, I'd add to my colleagues' points, Connie, that we have college liaisons who work directly in Durham high schools. And while we're not present in those high schools now, we're still working virtually, and we'll be there as soon as we can. But I want to take a cue from our county commissioners who mentioned that Durham Tech promise and the need to get that out to more students. We can't tell students enough the significant opportunity that provides to make college affordable and to create opportunities for them to move into the workforce. So we are looking for any and all opportunities and avenues to tell that story of the incredible support that this county and community provides to students who want to continue their education. And to the degree that you have suggestions about other organizations or communities or churches that we ought to work with, we are more than ready to do that. So I really appreciate that question. And thanks, Connie.
I got to take question number 2. Katushka, very nice to meet you, and thank you so much for that question. We're fortunate to have health education professionals who have been at it for well over 2 decades, and they know Durham County inside and out. One, I'd like to lift up Willow Robinson, who is phenomenal. She's been very, very instrumental in our faith community. She knows all the pastors. She knows just about everything that goes on in Durham. I have specifically appointed her to be a part of the Faith Roundtable that is a part of the Great Recovery and Renewal Task Force that's been established by the chair of the county commissioners and Mayor Schul. For the most part, they've been doing fantastic work. They've been meeting regularly, discussing COVID items in addition to others. And I certainly hope that that continues after the Recovery and Renewal Task Force has subsided because COVID has gone away. But I will also say that, again, public health has always been intimately involved with the faith community, and that's not going to stop after COVID is gone. But I do believe, Katushka, that there's always room for improvement and there's always more work to be done. But I just wanted to lift up, my health education supervisor who does a fantastic job.
And I'll speak on number 3. You're exactly right with the needs of our families within Durham, in which their students and their children have received special needs services. I personally work with DSNAC, which is the Durham Special Needs Advisory Council, and they really keep their ear to the ground. They're actually in contact with the families. So we've been hearing this throughout the entire year, that there were a lot of needs that weren't able to be met because when we're speaking about children who receive special services, we're talking about it whether they have an IEP or a 504 plan. So you have situations in which a Zoom call is not necessarily going to be conducive to some if you have a hearing disability, or maybe if your eyesight is diminished to a certain capacity. So we recognize those challenges. We've definitely been doing our best to work around them, but there are some things that do have to be done in person, and we do recognize that, which is why that was on our radar. So that is something that is being addressed at a higher level as we continue throughout the school year.
Thank you. I'm going to move us on. There is a question in the chat that was asked originally in Spanish, and then thank you for the translation, Tony. What would somebody do if they know someone who has tested positive on a COVID test, but who is still going out without any precautions against infecting someone else, or who is out in public events? What is the city doing to make sure people don't infect others?
I can take that one, Javiera. If anyone knows someone who is violating any of the COVID rules, that sort of thing, or businesses that are not, whose people are not masking up and that kind of thing, you can be in touch with me or with any of our city council members. Our city attorney's office will very gently but firmly ask people to comply with the COVID regulations. And I'm not sure if Rod wants to add to that, but we consider that our duty in the city, our city attorney's office, to do that enforcement. We have an attorney who has done a wonderful job of that. We try very hard not to be in any way punitive, but to get compliance through persuasion. And so far we've been able to do that pretty well.
Mr. Mayor, the only thing I would add is that, again, Durham has been fantastic with their compliance, particularly with mask wearing and just adhering to the mandates of not only the governor's order, but our local order. And we take that very seriously. This is a pandemic, and as public health director, there's certain powers I have in terms of isolation and quarantine. However, I've not had to do that throughout the entire pandemic. And again, that's reflective of Durham and the people who live here. However, we do take it seriously. We do have a surveillance staff that is more than happy to call and have a conversation. As the mayor said, on the business side, we do a nice little gentle reminder. We do the same thing on the personal side, just reminding them that, you have the ability to infect others. And again, we're not going to violate anybody's privacy and anything, but if we do hear that there's something like this going on, we take it very seriously and we act swiftly.
Thank you for those responses. I'm going to keep going because we've had a couple more questions in the chat, and while they've been answered, I do want to broadcast them out to folks who are watching. There was a question asking about if the Durham Tech scholarships are also available to undocumented youth. And what was clarified by County Commissioner Wendy Jacobs is that the Durham Tech College Promise is open to all Durham High School graduates, regardless of documentation status. And then for some follow-up information, President Buxton also shared that there's different scholarships available, and that the Durham Tech website, which is www.durhamtech.edu, has a lot of information there about the different kind of financial aid and scholarship supports. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving. I think we had a question from the Swahili Watch Party room, and I think Nayo is going to share that with us.
Yes, absolutely. So the question from the Swahili Watch Party is as follows. Given the choice between in-person or homebound instruction, many parents keep their kids at home because they are not confident in the school preparedness or student safety. Please emphasize to the immigrant community that the schools are prepared and our kids are safe at school. Yeah, this is mostly from the Swahili Watch Party. And this will relieve the parents and help them manage the stressors of the pandemic.
Thank you for that question. I will try to tell you what we're thinking about at schools so that we can reassure parents that we are following all the North Carolina health guidelines and working with the Durham Health Department.
Yes, just quickly, there was a reminder over there to ask you all to speak a little bit slower for them to get that to the Swahili speaking community. Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Nayo. I'm sorry about that. So Durham Public Schools is working with scientists from Duke and UNC, following all health guidelines. All students will wear masks to come to school, be socially distant from each other, and teachers will be making sure that they are following health protocols. We will also take temperatures every day and make sure that nurses check and call parents if needed. We will also have information on our website about any COVID cases in schools and have contact tracers and work with them to make sure parents get information about any COVID cases that might happen at school. So thank you for asking a question. We take it very, very seriously.
I'm going to follow up on that because it's a question that's also in the chat from the Swahili Watch Party room, which is, it seems that the communication, there's not a lot of information coming in Swahili to these families. And so that's where part of the barriers are as well. And I know that that is a challenge sometimes to find enough interpreters, but I just wanted to highlight that because it was in the first question and the second question. I'm going to keep us going because we've got some more questions in the chat. It seems like we've got one from YouTube around financial help to pay bills and rent. And there is a from County Commissioner Wendy Jacobs saying that Durham County Department of Social Services can help with information about possible assistance for help with rent, utility payments, and other emergency needs. And that phone number is 919-560-8000. And I do want to follow up because this is something that we know is happening both the city and the county, although the money that the city will be getting is larger, or will be receiving or have received a substantial amount of money from the federal government, the Department of Treasury. The city received about $8.4 million, and I think the county received a little over $1 million. Right now, we are in the process of trying to figure out, the city does not want to administer those funds because we do not do rent assistance. So it would be a big lift for us to start doing that type of service. The plan at the moment is to have the Department of Social Services, which is a Durham County office, handle that rent assistance. More information will be coming. We're hoping to get that money out into the community between mid-March and late March. And as of now, one thing that has been clarified is that documentation status will not apply. It does not matter what your immigration or documentation status is. There may be other rules, but that will not be one of them. We have another question about how are we going to guarantee social distancing if we move forward with Plan A and the schools don't have enough resources. Oh, never mind. That was a disregard. Okay. Apologies for that. I'm seeing if there's anything else in the chat that I may have missed. I think I've got us caught up. I'm going to open it up for any other participants. Humberto, you've had your hand up for a little bit. Do you want to ask a question?
Sí, no sé si esté el departamento de policía ahí participando también, o de seguridad.
We do not have any formal participation, but you should go ahead and ask your question and we'll see if we can answer.
Ok, mi pregunta es, especialmente aquí donde vivo yo, en el complejo de apartamentos, ha habido muchos asaltos a los latinos, ¿verdad? Vino un oficial de habla hispana, un latino, y nos dijo que desafortunadamente en el departamento de 911 no contamos con ningún personal bilingüe. Se requiere siempre intérpretes, pero en el departamento de 911 no tenemos personal bilingüe. Quisiera saber si pudiese haber la posibilidad de tener personal bilingüe en el 911 cuando surgen emergencias.
I'm going to answer that. My understanding, well, I do not know the number of operators. We have definitely Spanish-speaking operators. What we may not have, at least, staffed here, are other, still high-use languages like Arabic or Swahili, which then they have to use other interpretation and translation services. But as far as the 911 staffing, we absolutely have 911 and also Durham One Call, which is the non-emergency number that you can use. We also have Spanish-speaking staff in that department as well.
Okay, gracias.
And for those who have asked this, because I know it's a question, we've had Latino liaisons in the police department. We have a liaison who's a little newer. I think maybe has been there 3 to 4 months. And so within the Immigrant and Refugee Roundtable, that may be a conversation that we should plan for, is to have that liaison come. And the question earlier that was asked, I'm being asked to not disregard it, so apologies for that. This is the question of how can the school system guarantee distancing if they move forward with Plan A, and do schools have enough resources to do that? And Natalie, I see your hand. I don't know if I'm missing somebody else. I'm going to let you go ahead and answer it.
I think it's confusing the way we talked about the plan for elementary schools. We are surveying families right now and we'll have information tomorrow, and we think half of elementary families will choose to keep their children home, and then half may send them into schools. And so that's the way we will do social distancing. If we have too many families that want to come, we may need to have children come in different rotations or cohorts to make sure it's safe, but it will be a socially distant plan with children attending as many days as possible, but still keeping it socially distant. Is that, Frederick, did that cover everything?
Thank you for that. I think from the Swahili Watch Party, they just wanted to say thank you for addressing some of their concerns. I wanted to highlight that. Thanks. And I think I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, and I'm not seeing any hands raised.
I think Frederick had his hand raised.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, I do just want to add one thing. We do acknowledge that when we first rolled out some of the information, it could have been seen as a little bit confusing, because a lot of times when people would hear about the Plan A and Plan B schedules, originally we always presented Plan B generally would have two cohorts, where you would have half the students on one day, half on the other, where based upon what we were able to do and based upon the feedback from the community, we recognized that there was a challenge of not being able to provide a full week of education for most of our families. You know, being 2 days on and 2 days off, it really is difficult for working families. So that was the reason why you saw what could have been seen by some as a Plan A week. But the goal was within that Plan A week to still have that same group of students in the classroom, but you are making sure that you have it less than 50% of the capacity. So one of the reasons why the surveys that are sent out to the families are so important is this helps us be able to figure out on a school by school basis what each of those schools are looking like. And one of the things that we heard from a lot of parents since the beginning was they wanted to keep their same teacher. So you're confronted with a situation in which you may have some schools where the majority of the school does want to come back. That is a reality that we could face. Maybe it could be 60 or 70%. Whereas we have other schools in which the majority of that population actually want to stay virtual. So we're going to be making decisions based upon that data and seeing what changes or what reallocations we have to make in order to ensure that we keep everything balanced and ensure that we keep the safety protocols of the spacing between students in the class size level.
Thank you. And I think if anyone sees someone's hand up, just please let me know. I don't want to miss anyone. Deidreana.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to just speak this evening. I am so sorry I was not able to be on the call the entire evening. We had an event at Durham Children's Initiative for Black History Month. And I got on kind of late, but I did want to just pour in just a little bit of what came out of that panel discussion and the conversation. It sounds similar to the tail end that I was able to catch, and that the resources or the resource shortage that that our schools and our students might be facing is something that we're going to have to pull together to push on statewide, and acknowledging that that as much as possible that this legislation coming from the state should also come with dollars. And so I'm not sure that that's happening. I'm not sure how that happens, but I do think it's important that we all get together and push to make sure that it does occur. Acknowledging that I think one of the principals shared that the mental health counselors being on site at each school, you know, like making sure that the things that we as adults all know our children will need is in place, along with making sure that our teachers are safe, is all important. And we're in this together, and we're going to make it. We're going to figure this out. So, thank you. I appreciate you, Javiera, for pulling this together. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to see, I don't see any other questions in the chat, and I don't see any hands. So I'm going to phase this into just thanking everyone. I have a long list of folks I'd like to thank. First of all, if folks who helped design, and there's lots of folks who are here who asked questions, who joined planning meetings. So if the electeds could turn off their cameras so that we could see the folks, city staff, community members who helped plan this, I really want to highlight the folks who helped plan this evening. Thank you so much. You serve on the city's Immigrant and Refugee Roundtable. You came to meetings to plan this event. You dug in with us as we tried to figure out exactly how this thing was going to go this evening. So thank you. Colleagues on, so if everyone could turn, if you are a city council member, if you could turn your camera on, just our city council members, so that the community can see who we are. Thank you. And I know Jillian Johnson was on earlier. I think Charlie's still on, Charlie Reese. Thank you. If you are a county commissioner for Durham County, if you're a county commissioner, if you could turn your camera, everyone else turn their camera off and leave yours on if you're a county commissioner, so that our residents can see who their county commissioners are. And if you are if county commissioners could turn off their cameras, and school board members, if you could turn yours on. And I know earlier we had several, I know we had Vice Chair Mike Lee, and I know we had board member Javonia Lewis. And then I think, I'm not sure if we have any representatives still or state senators from our delegation to the General Assembly. I saw some of you all earlier, but if you represent us in the General Assembly, I know Senator Murdoch was here and Representative Morey was here. I apologize if I missed anyone else. Everyone can turn their cameras back on now. Thank you. I just wanted to give an opportunity for our residents, you know, when you're new or you're learning a system, even we know this, folks who've lived here their whole lives and were raised here and have been here for several generations, still don't know who funds what or who's responsible for what. So this is also an educational experience for our residents to know who represents them, who they should be asking questions to and asking, you know, for the things that they need. Finally, I want to thank Tyra Francis, Joyce Williams, Jeff Fawcett, Ronnie Dunbar, and John Stinson, which are the city's technology solutions folks who helped purchase all the equipment, helped test it for several months. This was not an easy thing. I also want to thank Carmen Ortiz in Neighborhood Improvement Services, Ryan Smith in Budget and Management Services, Amber Wade and Rachel Rudaboris in the city's city's Office of the Mayor, and all the folks who helped interpret this event from Tilde. We have Arabic, Spanish interpreters. This was a hard thing to pull together. So again, thank you. This ran a lot smoother than the first one. So we learned some things. We appreciate you all. There is funding for one more, and we will be planning, not sure when we will be doing it yet. Thanks so much, everyone. Buenas noches.
Thank you, everybody. Buenas noches.
Thank you. Buenas noches.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for doing this. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, everybody.